Our next topic is respiration in animals. Respiration means the breakdown of the food with the help of incoming oxygen in the cells of the living organisms, and this process occurs in the cytoplasm. In this process, glucose is completely broken down into carbon dioxide, water and energy, right? And this process occurs in the cytoplasm of all the cells. In all cases, like glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound, it is broken down into pyruvate, which is 3-carbon compound. It releases energy in the cytoplasm of the cell, right? But in some cases, the process of respiration occurs without the use of oxygen. It means in yeast, which is a unicellular fungus, the process of respiration takes place without the use of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen. And this process is called as fermentation. And during fermentation, in the absence of oxygen, ethanol and carbon dioxide are produced, right? Ethanol and carbon dioxide, they are the products of this anaerobic respiration, right? In mitochondria, pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon compound, it is broken down in the presence of oxygen into carbon dioxide, water and energy, right? And the energy released by this process is more as compared to other process, right? In muscle cells, pyruvate is broken down in the absence of oxygen into lactic acid and energy. Lactic acid is a 3-carbon compound, and due to the accumulation of this lactic acid in the muscle cells, the cramps are caused, right? So energy which is released during the cellular respiration, it is immediately used to synthesize a molecule called ATP. ATP, which is the powerhouse, which is the energy currency of the cell, and it is formed inside the powerhouse of the cell, which is mitochondria, right? So mitochondria is known as powerhouse of the cell. So this ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, it is called as energy currency of the cell. So let's see this equation. ADP, that means adenosine diphosphate plus inorganic phosphate, it gives rise to adenosine triphosphate, right? And dear students, remember one thing, that the endothermic reactions are those reactions which use ATP, which use energy, and exothermic reactions are those reactions which release ATP during their occurrence, right? So in plants, the gaseous exchange takes place through stomata. We have already read that stomata are minute pores present in the leaves, and they help in gaseous exchange, they help in transpiration, right? So stomata, they are present in the leaves and they help in gaseous exchange. That means carbon dioxide and oxygen, they are exchanged by the process of simple diffusion in green plants. At night, there is no photosynthesis, right? So because there is no photosynthesis, during that time carbon dioxide is released out, and during the daytime CO2 is absorbed, CO2 is taken in for photosynthesis, and oxygen is released for respiration of living organisms, right? Oxygen is released into the environment. In animals, there are different organs available for respiration depending upon the habitat of the organism, right? For example, in terrestrial animals, because they are present on land, so they can simply breathe in oxygen which is present in air, and they have different organs for their respiration. For example, terrestrial animals, they have lungs for their respiration, right? Aquatic animals, they use gills for their respiration, and they use dissolved oxygen. I mean the oxygen which is dissolved in water, they use that oxygen for their respiratory purposes, right? Fishes, they take water through mouth and forces to pass through the gills, because aquatic animals, they have gills. And in human beings, a well-developed respiratory system is there, because we have nostrils, we have lungs. So our respiratory system starts from nostrils, which is having fine air and filter the air, and mucus is also present there to trap the microbes. Then the windpipe, which is trachea, it allows the air to enter into the lungs through bronchi, right? And bronchi further divide into several small tubes called as bronchioles, which finally terminate into balloon-like structures which are called as alveoli. If we see the diagram of our respiratory system, we come to know that our respiratory system consists of a pair of lungs, right, bronchi, then bronchioles finally terminate into balloon-like structures which are called as alveoli, right. So here this is the diagram of trachea. Then trachea finally divides into primary bronchus gives rise to secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, and then bronchioles. And finally the bronchioles, they terminate into balloon-like structures. These balloon-like structures are called as alveoli, and alveoli are the actual place for gases exchange in living organisms, right, in human beings. So why these alveoli? They act as a respiratory membrane because they have rich blood supply. They have large surface area, they have rich blood supply which help in easy exchange of gases, and the exchange of gases here takes place by the process of simple diffusion. So during inhalation, what happens when we inhale air? When we inhale oxygen, we take in oxygen, and during this process our diaphragm, which is present below the lungs, it becomes flattened. Ribs move outwards, the volume of the chest cavity raises, chest cavity becomes larger, and air enters in the lungs and the lungs expand. But during exhalation, the rib cage moves down, diaphragm comes back to its original position, the volume of the thoracic cavity is reduced, and with pressure, foul air, that is carbon dioxide, is expelled out from the body, right. So our blood, the oxygen which is finally entered into our lungs, it is taken up by the blood to the body tissues. It is finally transferred to the cells of the body for further breakdown of, that means for the oxidation of food present in the cells, right. But sometimes there is always a residual volume of air which is left behind in the lungs, right. So respiratory pigment, which is hemoglobin, it helps in carrying the oxygen effectively from lungs to the body tissues, and one hemoglobin molecule can carry